So non-linear or adaptive music that adapts in real time to what is actually happening. So um, traditionally we would use this for games and VR apps and that sort of thing. So this is where it's actually a very different skill set to be able to compose interactive music compared to music for linear media. And we tend to have these two different ways of sort of separating them up: horizontal resequencing and vertical re-orchestration. So horizontal resequencing is the method by which pre-composed segments of music can be reshuffled according to the player's choice where they go in storyline or environment. So you can imagine this as transitioning between different sort of small pieces of music, and each piece of music is associated with a particular action or particular theme or particular point in gameplay there. So you could have a particular short piece of music that's designed for the player is currently in stealth mode and doing stealthy things, and then a different piece for when they actually go into an action sequence. And of course, generally we need these to be loops so that they can play indefinitely until they're told time to switch to the next piece of music. So go from the stealth theme to the action theme because the player has been seen by a guard or something like that. So you imagine it as, the reason being horizontal resequencing, we've got small pieces and we're just shuffling them around in horizontally in sort of an order based on what's happening, so we can say time to go to the next one there. And they will need to, in order to avoid the idea of the music sort of becoming discordant or the rhythm being broken or something like that, they will tend to, when they identify it's time to switch to the next one, they will still wait for a certain beat or a certain point so that the rhythm matches up and continues without a sudden change in time signature or something like that seeming to appear, so it can smoothly transition. So there can be a little bit of a delay on switching to the music in order to make sure it actually matches up with an appropriate point to switch. Vertical resequencing is changing the mix of separate parts of an ongoing loop. So in this case, you can think of it as we're adding layers on top by adding them or taking away layers based on what's happening. So you could have a very simple bass rhythm or melody or something like that, and it may be just a few simple things happening when you're in stealth mode, but then as you start getting spotted or something like that, it might then add an extra percussive track on top and then some dramatic strings on top of that. So it's adding things on top or taking them away based on what's happening. So it often can give the sense of something becoming fuller or more dramatic, while still maintaining that same theme as it goes along, or that same sort of underlying base to it and foundation. So those adding the layers on top, and in that case, it needs to be considered what layers could you add or remove based on what layers you would associate with particular emotions or particular actions. So if you need to be able to clearly identify, well, this particular layer that I could add on top, I would consider that something that adds more of an urgent feeling to it. So that layer should be added if something more urgent happens during gameplay, and I should know that that's the correct layer to add. And it does mean that they all need to be in the same key signature, the same time signature, so they work being put on top of each other and don't just sound completely out of place.